All right, so we're gonna check out the Star Trek Discovery first look trailer. I saw this earlier today. I guess it just dropped a few hours ago. Wednesday. What's the date today? The 17th.
Something. I don't know.
May 17th. It dropped a few hours ago, but been hearing a lot of buzz about it already. So we're gonna check this trailer out and let you guys know what we think. Let's go. Okay, so first impression. I think it looks really good. It looks nice, like visually speaking.
It's not a. Does not look like a CBS show.
No, definitely not. Like the CGI looks clean. It doesn't look like the Justice League movie.
No, which is sad because it's a fucking CBS show and looks better than fucking whatever.
So explain this all access thing to me.
So unless it's changed, but from All Access is their specific app on like the Roku, whatever. And I don't know now, it might be subscription based, but at the time when it came out, it wasn't. Like you could watch like Big Brother and shit on there. Like it was like a FX thing where it's like if you subscribe, if you have
like if you had cable, you could
get all this other stuff. From what I know,
I don't think you can do that anymore. I think you need to pay for it now.
Well, maybe that's what it is, but yeah, that's it.
So if it is, let's say it is subscription based, like you have to pay an additional fee for it. I would hope that they use that to their advantage when it comes to the FCC stuff, like
fuck and shit and whatever.
Not profanity's not really a part of the Star Trek world, but I feel like
sex,
maybe the little sex, but not like violence wise. Like I want the violence to be a little more realistic. I don't want it to be, for lack of a better term, CW violence.
Yeah.
Like I like the Arrow and the Flash shows, but the violence is definitely it's toned back. It's a little on the cheese side, you know. And I'm hoping that not that Star Trek is a super violent show, but
I just want to see like Klingon titties. Like
you want to see if they have the little bumps on there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean you never know. I mean that could be some hot shit.
Right.
It could be.
I mean to be complete.
I mean I've seen it on the porn. You know, like the porns. Those
the fan fiction porn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could find it if you want.
The parody porn. That's what it's called.
The parodies, yeah.
My dad is a huge Star Trek fan. Like ever since I was a little kid, like I would watch the old '60s reruns with him. We've gone to all the movies. He's always like that's his favorite show. He's definitely a Trekkie over Star Wars guy. This show, at least this first look trailer, like kind of makes me wish I lived closer to home. Because I would probably watch this show with him, and I'd get more enjoyment out of it.
It looks good. It looks good. That's why it looks like it doesn't really look campy. It looks like it's definitely a 2017 version of like Star Trek on TV,
right? Which
is good.
And the trailer didn't have any one-liners that were like.
That's what I said. It took itself seriously. I'm sure there's going to be comedy in it.
Well, I meant the one-liners like the movies. Like definitely the movie trailer for the new Star Trek movies have all kinds of comedy in them, and this was that. It doesn't paint that picture at all.
And but I wonder because I might be wrong, but I think not Bryan Singer, Brian Fuller, the guy who did Hannibal, who's doing American Gods over at Starz, he was the showrunner for this, and then he left. I don't know why. So what I'm saying is I don't know how much of this was because of him, or when he left, someone came over and like
cleaned it up.
Yeah, because I mean. He's fucking a brilliant guy. I mean, he's universally praised. I fucking love Hannibal. So when I heard him do this, I'm like, oh, interesting. And he was like,
shows get canceled though. So
they do get canceled, but not necessarily for anything other than the fact that people just don't watch. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not good.
No,
I'm just saying. But anyway,
might be a little too highbrow though. That's always
sure. That's okay to some extent. Not if you want your show to continue, but. If you want to make good content, that's the sacrifice. But anyway, I don't know like how much of this was from him. Like, did he make this all look good? Obviously not. You know what I mean. But how much of what we just saw right now was from Brian?
I mean, the trailer doesn't really teach us anything other than the lead character has some sort of connection to the Vulcans. That's the only thing I picked up.
And that there's going to be Klingon conflict.
Yeah, and that looks like the Klingon conflict is big.
I'm assuming this is not going to be. You know, episodic or whatever, or not episodic. Like, what is it when it's like 2.5 Men?
Oh, where it's just one-offs.
One-offs, because wasn't that the old Star Trek? Wasn't it kind of like that?
Yeah, I think you could watch one episode. You could jump in at any time. You didn't have to watch It's not serialized.
Serialized. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. So this one definitely looks serialized from what I'm seeing, but I don't know.
When it comes to dramatic stuff, I think that's the way you need to go. You know, comedy is the only kind of genre where you could pull off having everything episodic. You know, like
Well, there's
one-offs.
shows. I mean, obviously, I can't think of any at this moment, but like the Indiana Jones TV show was just like every episode was a different adventure.
The Indiana Jones one was also kind of an anthology too.
Right. I guess maybe I'm thinking more anthology than anything else. But I would definitely watch this for sure. Would you subscribe to CBS Access to watch this show? Let's say it was 24 episodes, which is probably not. It's probably 10.
That's the tough part because there's nothing else on CBS I watch. So am I going to subscribe just for
Exclusive
this
for the-
show? Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, I got
'cause
to find out too. Are they going to broadcast it on CBS as well, or is it internet only?
I think it's internet only.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I have to think about it because the problem with CBS is there's nothing else. I don't watch anything else. I don't watch any of the Law and Orders or whatever, you know, whatever those procedurals.
Big Brother?
I don't watch procedurals. I don't watch reality shows. They do have the terrible boxing sometimes. They have the
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
PBC,
Pro
I
Championship
think.
or something. I don't know.
yeah,
I know what you're talking about, though, yeah.
with the terrible fight cards. That
Yeah.
everybody, you know, so
But they're free boxing fights, bro.
I would be
They
interested.
have football sometimes.
If they show football on the channel, then I'd pick it up. But I don't think they will because they have
the licensing.
the licensing issues with the Sunday ticket and all that. And I heard something about Amazon getting NFL rights.
I think we talked about it on the podcast or something, or I don't know.
We did not.
But wasn't it like for Thursday games, right, or something like that?
Was it for Thursday games?
I think it was because it was
I'm
like
not
it went
sure.
from like being streamed on Twitter to like. Or
Right.
maybe I'm making all
if
this
it's,
up.
If it's a Thursday, I heard there's some sort of NFL contract with Amazon that Twitter had initially, and then Amazon like upped the
Because
bid.
Twitter,
to
it
get
was just like they would stream the games through Twitter
right.
on Thursday
They probably weren't even paying for it. They were like, if you want it, we'll just show it on
because it was
Twitter."
shitty.
Yeah. Well, the Thursday night games haven't been good.
But I might be making all this up. I just for whatever reason it sounds right coming out of my mouth.
I might depending on the terms of the contract for the and depending on if they released all the episodes at one time,
You might subscribe for a month and then
I might
cancel.
subscribe, binge, and then cancel. So I'm not sure.
That's good for CBS to know.
Yeah.
Like, yes, your product's good for 1
Well,
month.
dude, that's the problem with when you release all of the episodes at one time. That's what happens. That's just like
I know, because
you
that
can't
means
help yourself.
HBO now, if you wanted to just watch Game of Thrones, is a 2-month subscription unless you wait until it all comes out. Like, because if you want to start when it comes out next month or whenever, 2 months, that's 1 month. It's gonna be it's still 7 episodes,
Right.
Because it still bleeds over, and maybe that's why it's more than 4 episodes.
I like how this trailer reaction totally went from Star Trek to like subscriptions
Sorry,
services.
I'm a Star Wars fan, so anything that we can do to like get away from Star. No, I'm just kidding. We can go back to Star
No,
Trek.
so full disclosure, I have not watched Star Trek since.
Did you see Star Trek Beyond, the newest one?
I watched the movies.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't watched the TV shows.
Oh, me either. You know, I
I have
don't
not
think
watched
I've
the show
ever.
since the Next Generation. That's the last like
That's with
with Professor X,
Professor
Jean-Luc
X.
Picard,
yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
That was the last one I saw then too.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the. I didn't. Really,
That's the only one I've
I didn't
seen
watch
actually.
Deep Space Nine. I didn't watch Voyager. I didn't watch any of the ones afterwards. So what I'm interested in, because they're featuring the Klingons so heavily, is like, have they gone away from the Klingons being the bigger adversaries? And
Maybe this is the start because it's
Because
10 years before Kirk.
yeah. Well, I'm wondering because I know in the Next Generation you have Worf. You know, Worf was on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe the relations between Klingons and I just can't remember, but
Never mind.
your juvenile jokes. Okay.
No, it wasn't a joke. It was gonna. Never mind. I'll tell you off air. But did you know this is gonna be Star Trek related? That they tried to remaster. I think it was the Next Generation, and they shot on film, but then they digitized it. If I'm remembering correctly, they digitized it because it was just standard def TV, and they
Right.
like got rid of like. They did all their special effects on the fucking shitty, like Betamax quality stuff. So like people have been asking like, why isn't there a Blu-ray of Next Generation? Like you guys shot on film, right? And the guy said, yeah, we shot on film, but
They'd
we
have
did.
to redo all the effects.
They'd have to do all the effects from the ground up, and they did it for like I think they did it for one show, like one of the shows, because it was like a shorter run, like
Right.
something small, and it looked fantastic, and everyone was like in love with it, and whatever.
I'm sure cost wise.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. So like that, it was like the sad truth of like working on that shitty format.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense but like all those special effects you'd have to do from the ground up, and it would just, and that's 300 episodes or whatever. Maybe at one point someone's gonna do it. I'm sure it'll get done.
I mean,
You
once
throw it
we
out
get,
to the fans.
once we get to a point where like visual effects are like
Super easy, it'll
super
get
easy
done.
and cheap, yeah, someone might do it.
I mean, or release the files to the fans somehow.
Yeah.
People love Star Trek and Star Wars and all this nerdy shit enough to where they'll fucking spend hours and like, okay, guys, we're gonna agree this is the look. You guys do this, like, and then just fucking do it.
I could see that.
And then they release it. I mean, they did it with Star Wars, with the like, people somehow gathered different film reels of the original
Right.
Star Wars, and they like scanned it and then colored it like I was supposed to be, and like remastered. So I forgot what it's called, but you can like look it up.
Right.
And it was popular. I mean, I watched it. It looks fine. I mean, whatever.
I mean, we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah,
But
I liked the trailer though. I liked the CGI looked good. It didn't look. It reminded me of. It felt very universe-esque, and what I mean,
Right.
it's very grand, very big. Like it didn't seem like, okay, we don't have a lot of money for special effects, so it's all going to be inside the.
so you're
Discovery.
saying you think CBS put money into this for sure?
For sure,
Okay, and I think that's a good thing.
for sure. I mean,
The
you
only thing
kinda
I'm trying to
have
figure out is what is the significance, and for you Star Trek fans that are going to vote us down, or
talk shit about how we suck.
how about we know nothing about Star Trek and insult us and get pissed off that like our
Just
Star
because
Trek
we weren't
knowledge
born a
is-
Star Trek fan, that means
Uh,
we can't talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe one of you guys can explain to us in the comments. But what's the significance of 10 years before Kirk? That's what I find interesting. I'm not up on the canon enough to understand like what.
Yeah, that's I didn't now that you mention it, what is the significance? Because it's like, why not just fucking set it in some arbitrary time? Like, what is the significance of Captain Kirk?
And also, there was a series called Enterprise with Scott Bakula, and apparently that was like he was the first captain of the Enterprise.
I think that might be the show that they redid, they remastered or something.
No, this was Enterprise is not that old. I feel like it came out 10 years ago.
I think it was the same thing though. They
Oh, really?
remastered that, and it was recent. And it was easier because it was like all
It
digital
went off
or
the air
something.
fast too. I think I only had like 2 seasons.
I think that's what I don't know. But anyway, what is it? I don't know. We'll see. Does that mean Captain Kirk will appear at some point? I mean, they bring up Spock. Is that just to bring people in? Like,
Did they bring up Spock?
Yeah, it says 10 years before Captain Kirk, Spock, and the rest of the Enterprise.
Oh, well, yeah, they're just saying 10 years before the 2 like most famous characters.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just that. Maybe there is no significance other than to draw people in, so they know,
Right.
like, oh, this is a prequel to something I've probably seen. I don't know. I'd watch it though. I mean, but what I was gonna say is you kind of have to be competitive in terms of like visuals, because you look at a CW show. Like I'm not caught up on the 100, but I watched the first 2 seasons, and for a CW show, it looked
Yeah.
decent. I mean, if CW is doing that, and you're gonna bring Star Trek, where you're gonna expect it to look remotely like somewhat like the films, you got to throw some money into it. I mean, look at Game of Thrones, what they do. Obviously, it's a different type of thing, but like
right.
this visual feast that we're getting.
But also compare season 1 to the last
Oh, for sure.
night and day.
So hopefully, then knock on wood that this show is good, because then by the time season 6 rolls around, I mean, you might be looking theatrical if they get it
Right.
down right.
Right.
I mean,
I'm intrigued for sure enough to where I might borrow somebody's CBS
for sure,
entry.
definitely.
I might even buy it.
This is actually the first time I've been remotely excited about this show, because when it was announced, Brian Fuller was like, yeah, he's a part of it, cool. And then when he left or got fired or whatever happened, I don't think he got fired. I think he
As
just
long as it has the essence of what Star Trek is about, which I mean, it's like the
discovery,
exploration part.
finding something new,
And not
new
only that, but like
creatures,
it's like the
commentary on
it's a
what's
social
going
commentary for sure. Like, and about how it, like Starfleet's whole vision is to like unite everyone regardless of race,
on.
religion,
Exactly.
creed, or whatever. Which was also that's the big story behind all of it, which a lot of people like forget about it.
They forget unless you're a Star Trek. You're like you have your first interracial kiss on TV, right?
Right.
I mean, those are big groundbreaking. They are big groundbreaking things,
Right.
And now, because of that one moment, you know, it led to a lot of different, more promiscuous things.
And, and hopefully my dad enjoys it because he doesn't really like the new movie so much. He was not happy.
You didn't like the
He didn't like the new
Beastie
He
Boys
didn't like the reboots. No.
when they played it? I did.
No.
That was my favorite part of that movie.
I like the reboots, but my dad's like, he's not. So hopefully this show will like bring his faith back into the brand that he so loved.
Well, let's hope.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Subscribe.